Hello and welcome back to another episode of Coffee and Cigars. My name is Javier Cobas. This is La Flor de Ynclan by Villiger Cigars. This is some traditional Cuban coffee, and you are watching The Lounge. A coffee banana chocolate milkshake. Apart from the fact that it's a really light cigar, in terms of smell, the leather couches, wood walls, getting a little bit of sweet, but of course, it would not be complete without the coffee. So let's go ahead and taste that. Alright, so first things first, thank you to Gables Cigars for sponsoring this video and facilitating the creation of this episode. You can follow them on Instagram at Gables Cigars. Now we are looking at the Flor de Ynclan by Villiger Cigars. Alright, so sight, it's definitely a lighter cigar, Connecticut shade wrapper, grounded leaves, maybe that you would feed some animals at a farm, livestock, that type of herb. The label is a light blue, sky, red, dark gray, and silver. The sight's kind of underwhelming. You kind of get that anyway when it's a Connecticut shade wrapper. But that just about does sight. Smell, very cedary right off the bat. I'm getting no spice, but I'm getting a little bit of berry sweetness from it. Actually, I take it back, not berry, more like a rose, some flower petals. Kind of smells like I'm getting thorns and like a rose bush from it, very strong, fortified. Again, a lot of cedar, really. And, you know, I don't really expect that much from smell or taste because it is a Connecticut shade wrapper. It's pretty high ranked, so in that regard, I would expect there to be something about the cigar that really blows me away. But first impressions off smell and sight, it is kind of underwhelming. Smell is up to par with Connecticut shades, but underwhelming considering all the other cigars that we've smoked, all the other flavors that we've gotten. But I don't expect any different. It is a Connecticut shade wrapper, so it is going to have a lot less spice, flavor. Overall, smell is wood with some colors coming out, but overall very cedary. Smell and sight, so let's go ahead and cut it. So I went ahead and cut the cigar for the Ynclan straight cut as we always do. Let's check draw. Yeah, good draw. Yeah, I don't have the normal torch today. Very light as I initially expected. Not a lot of flavor coming out of the mouth at first. Slight spice on the tongue. Really overall it feels like a leaf burning. Tastes like it too. I'm getting like this fall, like leaves falling. That weird period from September to late October. So mid-September to late October when everything starts falling. People are getting back into school, back into the routine. I don't know if it's just me making these flavors up in my head, but I also tasted like pool water, chlorine water. Which I guess the chlorine is like that spice that I'm talking about, super slight spice right on the tongue. Kind of feels like that end of summer pool party that you have with your friends in 5th grade so that you could have a pool party before you have school tomorrow. And then you all see each other tomorrow anyway, so it's like whatever. There's a lot of things coming up in the fall, and it's ironic that I'm tasting this now, and that's exactly what's happening next week when school starts again. Lots of events always go on in the fall. This is I like this cigar. It's light. I have not eaten breakfast today. And that's why I kind of picked like a cigar that would be nice and light like this, and is really doing a good job of not getting me sick. Especially I'm on an empty stomach. A couple puffs would have already had me dead of a couple other cigars that we've had on Coffee and Cigars. The flowers I talked about in smell, they are appearing after puffing on it a little. In that slight sweet tingly sensation on the top of the roof of the mouth and the top of the tongue. A lot woody, I'd say. And then also nice and light. Construction is kind of doing subpar right now. Half of it is burning evenly, the other half is not. I think we could go ahead and start tasting the coffee as well now. Let's mix that in. The coffee really, all it did was just bring out even more of the wood. I like the cigar. However, the flavor profiles of the actual cigar and the coffee are not really, it's too light is what I'm thinking. Yeah, so the actual cigar and the flavors of the cigar are too light. They are not, adding coffee is not going to bring out more out of nothing. So there's not really more flavors to bring out. So kind of what happens is it turns into like a burned mess, charred mess inside my mouth. Just tastes burnt. I really enjoy this cigar by itself though. specifically with coffee is a little iffy. Again, we've only tried it with Cuban coffee, a Cuban espresso, so I don't know how this would fare with a macchiato or any Starbucks, inserts Starbucks coffee here. So I don't know how it would do with those, but I know with the Cuban coffee it is not pairing well. So before I score it, let me give you some context as to why I'm giving it the rating I think it deserves. Site was a little subpar. Label could have used some work. I think it's too simplistic, and it's a really good blend, smell and taste by themselves without the coffee. Phenomenal. I really enjoyed the cigar a lot, especially as a morning cigar, especially on this show. I wanted it to do well because it is a good morning cigar, and I think coffee and cigars is a kind of like a morning cigar segment. But then construction is not very good, and after I tasted it with the coffee, I found out it doesn't do so well because it is a Connecticut shade, so there's not really a lot more flavors for anything to bring out. And on top of that, I think the coffee kind of overpowered the cigar, and it just tasted like a burnt, mushy mess in my mouth. And for those reasons, on the lounge today, coffee and cigars, we are going to give the Flor de Ynclan cigar by Villiger and Cuban espresso coffee combination a grand total of 7.1. I think I'm going to give it a 7.1. Coffee by itself, always magnificent. Cigar by itself, phenomenal cigar. I love the blend. I love the ability that I could not eat something and still smoke the cigar in the morning and not get sick. That's always a plus. But then together, they kind of just didn't taste well together. I was kind of disappointed because I really like the cigar a lot, and of course I love coffee a lot. So finding a good pairing would have done us very well since we love these two things so much. And that just about does it for me here at the lounge. You could go ahead and follow at Gables Cigars on Instagram for facilitating the creation of this episode. And you could go ahead and follow us if you haven't already at thelounge.media. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. It means the world to us and lets us know that you are engaged. If you're listening to this on the podcast, please go ahead and give us a 5-star review or an honest review of whatever you think we deserve. If you think we're a 3-star podcast, and give us 3 stars and tell us why we're a 3-star podcast, and that way we can improve to your listening experience. I know you guys make up a big chunk of our audience, and I really, I want to cater to you guys as well. And so without further ado, that does it for me over here at the lounge. My name is Javier Cobas. You just watched Coffee and Cigars, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow for Let's Talk.